Mr. Chair, Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for acknowledging me. And as I stand to give my rebuttal to the motion standing in my name, allow me first, sir, to acknowledge my colleagues on this side of the House, Comrade German Figuera, Sherwin Holder, and Vincent Henry for their positive contributions and the remarks they would have given, because they all understand the essence of what this simple motion is seeking to address. On the opposite side of the House, Comrade Speaker, you had 3 speakers, and I will deal with them individually and bring the facts as they ought to be. Because when we come into this House, it's not to attack people's reputation. And I stand before this podium here. And I can represent my tenure as a minister of government and what I would have achieved and achieved honestly. So I will deal with that, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this motion is a simple motion. It is a motion that is actually asking this National Assembly to establish a special select committee with a time frame given of 2 months, where we all can pool our ideas together to address the high price in cost for a house lot. It is not asking for us to look at mortgage interest rate or what the coalition government budgets spoke to when it comes to housing. Basically, what this is asking for is for us to come. Let us wrap together, get the experts around, so we can find common solution to bring the high cost of house lots for ordinary Guyanese at a minimum cost. This is what this particular motion is seeking to address. Yes. Mr. Speaker, I now turn my attention to the contributors from the opposite side of the House. And I will start
the opposition side
with the first speaker, happened to be the Honorable Colin Crowell, who currently sits as the Minister of Housing and Water. I must say how disappointed I am in you, sir. Your presentation lacked substance. It lacked merit. But what it did was simply to attack. Mr. Speaker, I heard the honorable member described this simple motion as confusing. But yet in his presentation, he hasn't addressed what is confusing about this motion. The second description, sir, he gave is that the motion in its present form is fundamentally flawed. But yet again, Mr. Speaker, the honorable member, he of himself appears to be confusing in his presentation, since he failed to propose any suggestion for a possible amendment to the motion. The other description, I come into you shortly. The other description, sir, is that the motion is vague with speculation. Again, he failed to identify the vagueness within this motion. He further stated, Mr. Speaker, that the motion crushes to an illogical conclusion that is mind-boggling. Again, the honorable member failed to address what in the motion would have caused his mind to be boggled. He also expressed, Mr. Speaker, that words spring together. No basis for a conclusion that is drawn. But, Mr. Speaker, the motion made several claims on the Ministry of Housing, CHMPA, without providing evidence on any policy put. Mr. Speaker, I recall in my presentation, I did identify some of the issues that our people are facing, more so ordinary Guyanese are facing when it comes to the housing sector. Mr. Speaker, these points did not surprise me, since it is the nature of the PPPC to come here to have cheap politics, to lie and to propagandize. That is the People's Progressive Party civic.
Mr. Speaker.
My only
Honorable Mr. Speaker, the last time I checked, I believe the word lie was explicitly listed as an unparliamentary expression.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, sir. I withdraw to misinform the House. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Member Colin Crowell, in his presentation, also identified key elements, and what in his presentation identified key elements. He spoke to the issue of allocation process being equitable, socio-economic development. Equitable? The People's Progressive Party civic understand the word equitable? When I can invite you, Mr. Speaker, and members of this National Assembly, that the lands running parallel to the Hero Highway, see what is happening there. Whether there's equitable distribution of lands. See what is happening. See what is happening in other areas, Mr. Speaker, where lands at end lots, vast lands, are now being debushed and huge structures now being erected. Is that equitable distribution? And I have done my research, Mr. Speaker, and I have found that many of the lands distributed along the Heroes Highway, they are of one ethnicity, and I wish for the Minister of Housing to challenge me differently. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Colin Crowell boasted of over 33,000 allocations made, but the Honorable Member failed to provide the total number of applications on file from August 2020 to May 9th, 2024. He also failed to provide, Mr. Speaker, the number of titles and transports issued. And he also failed to say to this House how many persons from the 33,000 allocations were able to commence building their dream homes. Mr. Speaker, we were reminded in this House yesterday that many young professional homes are being constructed in several new housing schemes across this nation. But I recall standing at this very podium in February when I brought to the attention of this House that there is a disparity in the LBI area where the young professional houses are being constructed. That area is totally outfitted with water and electricity. And the ordinary Guyanese who were provided allocations on the eastern side of that land, they are still to this date, Mr. Speaker, awaiting for electricity and water to be installed so they too can commence building their homes. Mr. Speaker, I want to say the honorable member failed to say to this House, despite the show of many houses being constructed, you did not provide to this House how many of the thousands of houses built are currently unoccupied. You did not provide how many units are in major defects. You did not provide how many of those defects your ministry was able to address. Mr. Speaker, just yesterday I shared in this National Assembly letters that I have received, complaints. Mr. Lachman Prasad, who was given a house lot, a home, paid $7 million, and to date he cannot access his house because of the major defects. Mr. Speaker, we heard about banks lending 100% in loans. But what the Honorable Minister Kroll failed to say, which are the banks that are lending loans at 100%? Because I don't know. Because I know you either surrender your transport or your title as equity before any monies can be released, and the monies are usually released in tranches. Mr. Speaker, we were told about 7,540 lots allocated by the coalition government. But you know, I stand proudly to say here this afternoon that what we distributed, we hadn't any oil money. But what I'm saying, sir, is that with oil money now, we should be charging 0% for house lots in this country to our Guyanese people. Mr. Speaker, he spoke about the squatting in the country, and he should be ashamed because he made the House to believe that squatting became a thing under the coalition government. But our research that was done in 2017 proved that you had 8,000 squatters in this country, but the coalition was able to start regularizing. I know time will be against me, so I wouldn't want to get into that. But we regularize squatting in this country. So don't let sound as though squatting became a thing under the coalition government. Mr. Speaker, the honorable member, just before he left the podium, had this question to ask. But I wish to inform, he asked this question, whether I can provide a response about 1.2 million land for a 3 million, something to that effect. But Mr. Speaker, I want to say to the honorable member, my profession is not a magician or a fortune teller. I do not, never did set price for lands under CHMPA. The very Honorable Colin Kroll is fully cognizant of the competent authority that is responsible for setting costs for lands under the CHMPA, since he has been the minister for over 3 years. Mr. Speaker, I now turn my attention to Madam Susan Rodriguez. In her response, Mr. Speaker, she started off by saying that the motion is out of order. She said that there's a positive change for the poor and vulnerable. The motion was also a waste of time. Mr. Speaker, as I said before, this motion is not a waste of time motion. If we really have the care and concern of the people of this nation, we will do the honorable thing. We're now an oil-producing country, and all that the motion is seeking to do is for us to reduce the high cost of house lots in this country. Mr. Speaker, the honorable member went on to say about my land and the land that I got in Eccles. But what the honorable member failed to say, which I will say, is that I applied for my house lot under the People's Progressive Party Civic. When I paid for my land, Mr. Speaker, it was a 50% promo, of which I happen to benefit like every other Guyanese. And whatever cost the CHMPA asked me to pay, I pay that cost in full. So for the honorable member to come to this National Assembly to say to this House and to the people of Guyana that I had some corrupt practice, I just want to make it clear. Mr. Speaker, I also wish to remind this House that
Honourable members, a couple of things. I didn't think she imputed anything, and I've allowed a shame, corrupt, and also a bit of digression, because we heard now, instead of talking about house lot, discrimination in house lots, and the failure of ministers not to address certain things. I think we could come back on track. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
I want another house lot.
So, Mr. Speaker, I also want to say to this honorable House that this very matter is before the court, and the entire nation is aware of what has happened. This same matter involving my lot, right? Because that seems to be a thing for some of you. It seems as though only the People's Progressive Party Civic must build mansions. Only the People's Progressive Party Civic must have lands. And ordinary Guyanese, including us across here, we must not have anything. But what we have as the leader of the opposition is on record asking for Barra Jagio to put his assets to the salaries that he would have achieved as president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. So don't come here playing as though y'all are good boys and good girls over there. Y'all are corrupt. Mr. Speaker, with regards to the 50%...
Mr. Speaker, I stand on the point of order 48.
Go ahead, Honorable Minister.
The Honorable Member just said, y'all are corrupt. I'm sitting here. I will not accept that, sir. Apart from the word corrupt being unparliamentary, it is also ascribing a derogatory term to the member sitting on this side.
Thank you, Honorable Minister Edgell. Honorable Member, you've been going really good. So could you please withdraw and continue?
At your request, sir. Withdraw. Mr. Speaker, I need to make this matter clear with regards to the 50% promotion that the coalition government held in two years. Mr. Speaker, when we became the government, we recognized that many lands were unoccupied. We recognize that many of the allottees were unable to pay the cost for the house lots in full. And what we did as a caring government is that for the 50th anniversary in 2016, the independence anniversary in 2016, we decided to roll off this 50% where we allow persons to come in and pay. And they could have paid in 2 installments. And that we were able to generate a lot of monies using that. Mr. Speaker, as I stand here, I happen to benefit from that 50% promotion like every other Guyanese did. Right? And I was not the sitting minister of housing. I was at public infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, what we also did is that in 2020, we rolled off another 50%, this time for the Republican status of our nation. And again, what we did, we encouraged persons to come and make their payments because we recognized that persons were finding it difficult because of the hardship, the system that the PPP created. But Mr. Speaker, when this PPPC government went back into government, I have reports of persons who reach out to me to say that they were forced to pay the 100% cost of the house lot. They disbanded that 50% promotion. I recall having a conversation with Colin Kroll and Susan Rodriguez, of which I sent persons to them. So for the honorable member to stand here yesterday to say that I never engage him, again, misinformation that I have to diss. Mr. Speaker, they also claim that we did nothing for the housing ministry. But Mr. Speaker, no, we didn't come to the Parliament we call it again, expenditure. Capital expenditure. What we did, sir, we utilized the housing fund. And many of the houses, the 1,000 houses in Perseverance, we had to spend in excess of $2 billion to rectify the defects that many persons are experiencing here today. Mr. Speaker, we also left, that is what they inherited from us, the adequate housing and urban accessibility program, of which we were able to source $4.5 million so that ordinary people in certain areas, sir, could have benefited from a government grant to help them, to repair their homes and all manner of things. Mr. Speaker, when I don't know how to describe these people across there. This don't care government is not their idea. They don't care about poor people. This is what they did. They actually pull aside, sir, this program, had it revised where they were able to bring on their people. And many of the people that we engaged, those people have been disenfranchised. Mr. Speaker, allow me to turn my attention to the last speaker on the opposite side of the House. Honorable Dr. Ashni Kumar Singh. For the 30 minutes into his presentation, we got a historical review or a literature review of the coalition government budget. A man who I have great respect for, his brilliance. But he stood there this afternoon, sir, and he was unable, sir, to speak anything of substance where this particular motion is concerned. You're talking about us not having accountability? Let me remind the honorable member, you run from accountability from this country. You run from accountability from this country, sir. So when you were to give evidence and whatever to clarify, you run from this country, sir.
Honorable member, I have to offer some protection here because I think you're phrasing that wrong.
Yeah, you run, he fly.
Please.
He flew away like a bird. Like an eagle, you know, the eagle. Mr. Speaker, it was sad to see the very honorable member went down into the gutters where myself and a former colleague of government are concerned. But I think I touched enough on my situation. Because as I said before, Mr. Speaker, this matter is engaging the attention of the court and I will continue to win. Mr. Speaker, the honorable member, and I'm challenging him this afternoon to go on the outside and claim that I have multiple house slots. Multiple. You heard 4, you heard 2, now it's gone to multiple. You understand? I dare you, sir, to go out there and say what you said in here. I dare you. But Mr. Speaker, when I refer to the Pradoville project, the forensic report that was done on the Pradoville project, I was basically, sir, highlighting what the report found. This is not a Ferguson's opinion. This is what the report found. Barra Jagdeo had 1 house slot in Pradoville, which he never lived in. Sold it for $120 million. Went back to housing, got whatever done, got a second house lot, which he was not entitled to. This time, it wasn't a second house lot, it was a double lot. Paid below market price. That's one. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, he was able to acquire 3. You're talking about us being Santimonia's gangster? But I can tell you now what is Santimonia's gangster. Jagdeo took 3 transformers, which he never paid GPL for. Is not Ferguson saying this? That is what you call Santimonia's gangster.
Honorable member, you're saying that the former president took 3 GPL transformers?
Yes.
So how you're presenting that as he literally gone? Please, you have to withdraw that. GPL has a responsibility to provide.
All right, sir, I will withdraw, but
Yes.
here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to quote word for word from the forensic report. And this is what, and it's laid in the National Assembly. It is laid in the National Assembly here.
And that was read before. This is not the second time. But go
I'll
ahead.
read it again.
Go ahead. Let me hear what the forensic report says.
So on page 20 of that report, sir,
Okay.
this is what the forensic report is reporting. Our investigation revealed.
Honorable members, allow me to hear what the report says, please.
Our investigation revealed that Jagdeo, also caused to be provided 3 transformers for which he paid GPL.
Okay, I just trying to equate cost to be provided with taking. So my comprehension is limited.
I withdraw.
Thank you.
I'm continuing, sir. The cost.
Hold on, Honorable Minister Giltishire.
Mr. Speaker, Standing Orders 41, Clause 4 and Clause 6. offensive and insulting language about members of the Assembly, and no member shall impute improper motive. I still am not clear what document the honourable member is reading from. I am not clear whether it was a public document and when it was tabled, and if it was tabled in his house, and that she has incorrectly, again as usual, presented her accusations of the Member of Parliament on this side, Mr. Jagdeo.
On the last point, Honourable Minister, she did withdraw that. And she quoted from a document which she said was laid before in the House.
I would like to hear that document, and when was it laid in this House?
Honourable Minister.
And what is the title, and when was it laid in this House?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, she also made accusations about the House slots that referred to Mr. Jagdeo. And she's absolutely incorrect on what she said. And she knows that because this was publicly stated in the press years ago. I do not have Mr. Sherwood Duncan. Please be quiet. You're not the Speaker of the House. Maybe one day you'll speak, but not now. Be quiet.
Honourable Member, I would uphold two of the 3 points the Honourable Member made, but you have already withdrawn. So the only thing left for you to do is to quote the title of that forensic report and to just lay again a copy in the House.
Mr. Speaker, how many times have I lost so far? I have to regain my time.
I love listening to you, and I would return
very much.
the time lost.
Mr. Speaker, here's what is going to happen. I'm going to relay this the copies, the forensic report of Central Housing and Planning Authority done by Raman McRae in 2016 was laid in this National Assembly.
When was it laid in the House?
You're on the floor. If you want to cross talk, I wouldn't give you back that time.
Because I don't want to lose my time, so I'm not cross-talking. So, Mr. Speaker, may I continue? So, I have before me here, sir, an extract of the report and what I've just quoted is actually on page 20 of that forensic report of this Parindam housing project, which was done between 2016 and 2017 by Ram and McRae. Sir, may I continue? The cost of the 3 transformers, according to the utility company, was $8,137,979. Mr. Speaker, this is a damning report that we all should familiarize ourselves with. So when you come in to talk and tell people about sanctimonious cancer, look into the mirror, Sister Gail. Look into the mirror. You look into the mirror. Y'all are playing nice guys and nice girls over there, but I can deal with y'all. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, as I said before, this particular motion, as I prepare to wrap up, sir, it is a very damning report. I also heard from the last member, the last speaker on that side of the House, that I disparaged members on that side of the House. I never did, sir. I actually quoted from what the forensic report said about the gentleman who was president then, and a few cabinet ministers. I didn't name them, but Priya Manichan, who is not in this house, she was also one of the beneficiaries from a house lot there in Prattville, Sparinam there, and also resold her property. Resold her property. It's all in the report. So don't come here. So, Mr. Speaker, well, earlier today, my friend spoke about a ring. Earlier today. Mr. Speaker, since the goodly gentleman walked in graciously, perhaps I can repeat what I said earlier. But Mr. Speaker,
Except there is a standing order on repetition.
Mr. Speaker, I really wanted to go into the ring with this gentleman, you know. I want to go into the ring with this gentleman.
To get into the ring, I will have to ask the Honorable Member Sherwood Duncan. So please continue.
Imagine I bring out Jack Deal from his hiding position. That's to show how special I am to you, sir. I'm really special.
Had to come to the circus.
This is not a circus. You had a circus last week. You had yours last week. Yes. The chief clown now arrived. Mr. Speaker, serious business. So, Mr. Speaker, I believe, as I said before, if we establish this committee, it will be able to divide many things that are currently happening. You have people who are sitting in this very house whose family were given contracts through the Ministry of Central Housing Planning Authority to build houses. And many Guyanese out there are suffering because of the mess up in the projects. So once we have this committee established, we will be able to make recommendations that we need better quality assurance so that when the government is building houses, our people must have a sound and quality house to live in, because it is not easy, sir, taking a loan and having to repair a loan. Mr. Speaker, the other thing I heard about is that the cement and steel project, which is a very good initiative. You're trying to help people, and I commend the government for that. But if you're to tell me more can be done, I believe so, sir. One sling of cement can't complete an entire foundation. 90 lengths of steel cannot, sir. But you know what is the sad thing, Mr. Speaker? When they give out the 250,000 cement and steel subsidy, the people are given a list to go to specific suppliers. And on that list, sir, one set of ethnic people, friends, families, and favorites. These people, the monies are going towards. So, Mr. Speaker, the talk about VAT not being on building materials. You know, I'm a girl with my facts, and I don't come here to tell untruth. But when you look at this bill, the bills that I have here, that procure construction materials, people are still paying 14% VAT. So Mr. Ashney, the man with a long portfolio, what you need to do, honorable member, is to do more due diligence out there. Please, I'm asking you, send out your inspectors from GRA to see all the suppliers who are fleecing poor people in this land. We cannot pass laws to say that we zero rating building materials, but it's something differently out there. You see, Mr. Speaker, again, this special select committee would be able to identify all those shortcomings. Mr. Speaker, the other thing the special select committee would be able to identify, the other concern, sir, has to do with double payments of house lots. Many Guyanese are paying double for house lots. Yesterday, sir, I shared a complaint by an allottee. Mr. Speaker, the other thing that this committee would be able to find out is how many house lots are actually given to friends, families, and favorites without following the process, sir. So, Comrade Speaker, I believe that the time has come. The time has come, Mr. Speaker, for us to show the Guyanese citizens that we mean business. And we should not be using the housing sector to play with the lives of our people. Look how many people are living on dams. Look how many people are living in unregularized area, while my friend Barrett is living in his ocean view mansion there in Paddlefield too. You don't think, Mr. Jagdeo, that the man who's living in Alboystown would like to enjoy an edifice like yours? But I believe, sir.
Honorable member, I know your friend Barrett.
No, I'm a friend of him.
And I also know your friend Jagdeo. But if you put them together, you have to refer to the Honorable Barrett Jagdeo.
Yes. I stand corrected, the honorable gentleman. So, Mr. Chair, well, you gotta pay me by hook or by the crook. You gotta pay me. You got to pay me, sir. So, Mr. Chair, as I said, sir, with the boy, I can account for every cent. It's whether Jagdeo can account. So, honorable member, sir, honorable member. So, Mr. Speaker, as I prepare to bring the curtains down on this motion before us, I am so unhappy to hear from the honorable members on that side of the house saying that they cannot support a motion to this effect. How sad. How sad. Honorable Jagdeo, I would like to say to you, sir, that what this motion is seeking from the government is for, because since you're the main man in everything, is that we seek to have this committee established where we can look, sir, at a high cost in pricing where house lots are concerned. Our man 50. Sir, how in this oil economy where Guyana is generating billions, why can't we not allow our people not to pay for a 40 by 80 house lot? Why can't we not allow Guyanese, more so poor people, not to pay for a land 50 by 100. It is hard, especially when people are earning below the minimum wage. And in this high cost of living society of which you and your regime have failed to address. So, sir, I implore on this assembly to on my members, the honorable members on that side of the house, to rethink and let us pass this motion successfully. If it is one thing that can unite us, let this motion unite us. Let the Guyanese citizens see that we can work together as one people, one nation, one destiny to address their plight. The reality, it's hardship out there. It is hard for our people out there. So I'm asking, let goodness prevail. Let God touch your heart, Mr. Jagdeo, honorable member, and let us pass this motion successfully. With that being said, Mr. Chair, I thank you very much, and I look forward for the resounding support to have this motion passed. Praise you. Thank you, Lord.